The Fall of the House of Usher is a beautifully written gothic horror story with stunning visuals and tight plot. But in this video I won't delve into those, focusing instead on the characters and their deadly sins. Because I am pretty sure that Verna is the devil, Satan herself, given her ability to transform into other creatures, exercise mind control, and her statement that she came from below.
That's why I had to go topside. Had to see the ship go by with my own eyes.
And where there's the devil, there are sinners. 8 out of 9 Ushers represent one deadly sin each, aside from Lenore, who's innocent, so she's gonna be fine.
Oh yes, honey, you're safe.
Just kidding, her name is Lenore, of course she's not gonna be fine.
She's quite dead.
Lust is generally considered to be the least serious of the 7 deadly sins, as spiritual sins are far more noxious than the sins of flesh.
The beautiful flesh.
Lust can represent an unbridled desire for anything really, be it power, money, or someone's approval. Either way, it's still a deadly sin, for which Prospero felt the downpour of erosive consequences. There isn't much to say about that bastard as he died first.
Like I'm extra bastard.
However, even during his brief screen time, he displayed a toxic personality, indulged in acid and Viagra, invited his sister-in-law to an orgy, acted with ignorance, and died to his own stupidity. And all of this was sprinkled with daddy issues. Well, they got resolved at the end, so that's fine.
Oh, sick burn.
I don't wanna sound too caustic, but as someone once said, we all die alone. Well, our boy died in a cuddle puddle, truly melting everybody's hearts.
The bloody puddle of gore in the designer shoes.
What a waste, what a way to go. This scene is absolutely amazingly filmed, by the way. The music, the atmosphere, the rapid escalation, the lighting. Flanagan definitely knows his way with the lights. The clever one, and the most arrogant out of all Ushers, Camille is a great representation of envy, which becomes increasingly evident closer to her death. From her first appearance, she's been collecting dirt on her own family members, particularly Vic.
Camille L'Espagne was very good at what she did. She had a file on everyone.
It's also implied that she's the only one who didn't choose her line of work, being forced to become a PR manager, which might be one reason for her bitterness. Camille also seems to resent her assistants for falling in love.
Adorable little morons!
But not as much as she resents her stepsister. There are 12 scenes with Camille, that is while she's still alive,
Hello there.
and in which one she displays negativity towards Victorine in one way or another.
Victorine, for some reason, people like her.
Aw, fuck you very much, Victorine.
But there's something that stinks about Vic's. What'd you get on Victorine?
Oh, fuck Vic. Vic's heart mesh isn't even her heart mesh.
Did you at least get the hookup on Vic?
Victorine Lafourcade. Oh, Vic, you were so fucked.
Her entire personality and her drive in the plot revolve around Vic. The fact that she died trying to dig up dirt on the object of her envy is somewhat poetic. But why does she hate her so much? Well, Verna answered this question perfectly.
You picked the worst job to hide your true nature. You clean up dirt for a living. You hate her because she hid it better.
Leo's sin is gluttony, which doesn't have to be about food. It relates to overindulgence and overconsumption of anything to the point of waste, which is exactly what he did with drugs.
Fuck, I guess my edible's kicking in.
But out of all Ushers, excluding Lenore of course, he's the most tolerable one in my opinion. Aside from his cheating on Julius, he didn't really do much wrong. He had no daddy issues, he sponsored video game developers, was the only one to show sympathy for the deaths of his siblings, and most importantly, he didn't kill the cat. It was all the hallucinations caused by the abundance of drugs. The reason he never experienced such side effects before was due to Verna's protection. For Leo, drugs were always about the kicks with no ramifications.
Because you've always had it under control, like you got some kind of magic power, but baby, you are off your game.
However, once the Usher's immunity was revoked, he felt the overwhelming effect of drug abuse and even considered quitting.
Fuck, Jules. Maybe you're right. Maybe I should take a break from the drugs.
Who knows, maybe if he didn't have to die, he could have overcome his addiction. But alas. Should have spent more time with Pluto, would have learned how to land on his feet. Victorine Lafourcade's research of experimental heart mesh technology is central to the theme of her own heartlessness and wrath. Verna describes her as nervous and erratic at the core, which fed into her rage outbursts from all the pressure she was under.
what? Fuck you. Oh, fuck off, Ray-Bans. Hey, fucking, don't be a fucking child. Shit, how do you think this industry works?
Well, in fairness, almost every Usher showed intense bouts of anger at one point or another. Yet it was Vic whose wrath caused her to commit a murder. The strike against Dr. Reese was made in the heat of passion, with no intention to spill blood. But consider this. Not only did she decide to not call for help in a heartbeat, deliberately letting her girlfriend bleed out on the floor, but continued to be angry with her.
You just said you were gonna tell out.
Though anger in itself isn't necessarily a sin, it undoubtedly becomes one when directed against the innocent. And all of Vic's victims, including the James and Dr. Reese, were at the very least unoffensive. Even Werner took on a form of a harmless woman in need. Wrath is the most destructive sin of all, and while Victorine didn't directly take her anger out on her patients, the damage she inflicted around herself is evident. Werner even made Vic take her own life, serving as the highlight of her sin.
Yeah, he got me. I'm killing the Ushers one by one. Guess who's next? Me.
Another interesting bit is her pumping the chimpanzees full of adrenaline, as it's a nice metaphor for violence begetting violence.
She lies. And she pumps us full of adrenaline to make it look like it works.
It's also cool to see Envy and Wrath being directly connected, like they were in Seven. Personally, I consider Tamerlane one of the most interesting characters in the show. Her shattered self-image, suffering from insomnia, and gradual descent into madness are all masterfully portrayed and perfectly mirror the sin of sloth. Now, I know what you might be thinking. How can someone who isn't sleeping at all and is constantly working be accused of laziness?
I haven't seen you sleep in it's been a fucking long time, Tammy, like horror movie long.
Well, imagine being so insolent that you outsource your intimate life with your husband to someone else. Just kidding, the real answer is that sloth isn't just about a physical state of being, but a mental one as well. Apathy, despair, and avoidance of responsibility are all manifestations of sloth. So one may be a sleep-deprived control freak working non-stop, yet still have a lazy mind. Furthermore, the evil of Achadia finds expression in the lack of connection to the world, its inhabitants, or oneself, which is reflected in Tamerlane's personal life, as her dreams are destroyed and her marriage wrecked to smithereens.
I fucked it all up.
There's a great example of Sloth in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. His single-mindedness led to endless toil. Sloth was always awake and at work, with his only drive being to finish the mission so he could finally rest. Sounds familiar?
What I want is for you to relax.
Alas, there's no rest for the wicked. Except maybe in death, which is amazingly filmed. Just look at that. It is as mesmerizing as it is terrifying. The original sin of pride. How fitting that the firstborn would succumb to it.
Your Aunt Victorine, your Uncle Leo, your Aunt Camille, your Uncle Perry. None of them were right.
Pride is often considered the gravest of sins, which is ironic given Frederick is the least favorite character in the miniseries. Initially, he's portrayed as an unassuming man-child, desperately and futilely striving to earn his father's approval.
Sir, yes, sir?
As he apparently has the biggest dad hole out of all siblings.
Dad hole.
Toothless, sweaty Freddy finds himself constantly belittled by those around him.
Secretaries call him Sweaty Freddy because he takes the stairs all the time.
However, a turning point in his character occurs after his trophy wife gets deep-fried at Paris' debaucherous gathering.
If it is true, it's Perry.
Oh, he's just a kid, Freddy. He's just a kid, Freddy.
Leading to his vicious narcissism rising to the surface as he abuses Morella's inability to act.
Me? Toothless?
No, you. Throughout, Frederick fuels his ever-growing ego by exploiting his father's name, devoid of any trace of humility, even before he becomes the new CEO.
Are you mistaking me for a civilian? I'm not a fucking civilian. We're part of a kingdom. We're like royalty. Because I'm the Usher Ascendant. Do you know who you're talking to?
And once he becomes the CEO, the first action Frederick takes is to order the demolition of the building where, as he says, his wife should have died.
Should have died here, honey.
No, you. Funnily enough, his death was foreshadowed in the prior episode during a movie-watching scene with Lenore and Morella. In a fitting turn of events for someone who fell victim to the sin of pride, Werner ensures that Freddy's death is marked by humiliation.
It's humiliating enough, isn't it?
So, both the youngest and oldest children met their ends in the same location, huh? What a shameful coincidence. Roderick and Madeline Usher, as twins that share the scene as one, since their fates are inextricably linked. And that scene is greed.
Yeah, we've got the same one.
Though their story also implies undertones of envy and significant pride, as they are often referred to as heroes and legends, queen and king of Fortunata, goddess and god. Yet greed seems to be the main theme for those two.
If you could take all of it, all the greed, and sit down across from it, what would you say?
Was it ever going to be enough?
That's an idiot question. Of course not.
If you could be either rich or famous, which?
Rich.
Driven by avarice, they were willing to do anything to claim what should have been their birthright, even make a deal with the devil, because what they had wasn't sufficient. Being alright and together wasn't enough.
Money isn't everything.
Well, not to the people who can't even enjoy a damn lemonade without making something profitable out of it first.
When life hands you lemons.
Make lemonade?
No.
Thus, they've built their empire on a pile of corpses, earning more money than they'll ever be able to spend, taking everything from the world while offering nothing but empty promises in return, and blame the consumers for that. Isn't it the epitome of greed? Furthermore, Roderick's greed is evident in the fact that he couldn't provide anything to fill his children with, drawing them empty instead.
You starved them.
It doesn't matter how rich you are if you have nothing to share with the world and people around you. And that's why this line hits so hard.
The poverty of you.
As for Madeline, money wasn't a goal in itself, but rather a means of achieving her true ambition, immortality, through the use of AI technology.
That is immortality talk, right there.
While I find this more admirable than simply hoarding money for its own sake or using it to satisfy one's whims, it's still not an excuse. Time is the most valuable resource we have, and the pursuit of extending it can cause one to miss out on life and seem petty in the process. Perhaps that's why Annabelle taught her.
You are so small.
The very line Madeline later returned to Rufus, which is ironic given they both couldn't taste the cyanide in their drinks.
I really can't believe he didn't taste it. He really didn't know shit.
The strong, powerful man whom she resented so deeply died in the same way as the strong, powerful woman did. Because no one lives forever, and even after being mummified, Madeline returns as a revenant just like her mother did, with the sole purpose of killing Roderick, repeating the fate of their parents by dying together in perfect symmetry.
You two die together. You came into this world together, you go out of it together, or no deal. I'm a creature of symmetry.
So, here we are, the 7 deadly sins of the House of Ushers. What do you think? Maybe Flanagan didn't intend for any of this at all, and it's just my desire to look for patterns and tropes like this in fiction. Either way, it's definitely the best horror miniseries I've seen so far. I can't wait to see what else Flanagan will create in the future. And if you want to see more videos like this, consider subscribing. And thanks for watching!